So I'm going to start this video by saying a brutal truth, which is that not everybody should start a coaching business, okay? There are easier ways to just make an extra $2 or $3 a month. That's not what this is for, okay? I've been in this business of helping people start this for 4 years. I've taken my marketing knowledge, my sales knowledge, my customer relationship knowledge, my internet marketing and social dynamic knowledge, and I've helped countless different people start this business. And in today's video, I'm not saying that everybody can do this. And I'm not going to lie and sit here and tell you that because I'm not a guru. I don't sell this scammy get rich quick thing. What I've really been helping people do is establish world-renowned careers and helping them build reputations for themselves because, moving into uncertain economic times, I believe that your greatest asset will be a reputation. It will be an association with your name and an outcome that you've helped people create in their lives. And so this, to me, is the new wave of personal education. You're seeing that the e-learning industry is growing by 100% every decade. More and more college-age individuals are turning to alternative education vehicles like online mentorships, courses, coaches. Even one of my most successful students, her name is Liz, and she's one of the successful students, does about $20,000 or $30,000 a month, and all she does is help people get the same career she got in robotics. And so what coaching can give you the ability to do is have legitimate impact in the lives of other people. So the first thing you need to have if you want to start a coaching business is an actual desire to help people succeed in any given arena. Okay, so you have to have that. If you're looking for a simple play-by-play, click these buttons and you'll make an extra $3 a month, that's not what this is. There's better ways to do that. Okay, you should check out drop shipping or affiliate marketing or appointment setting or things like this. That'll make you an extra couple grand a month. And maybe it'll be a good entryway into some other industries. Okay, so the first thing is you need to be a personality type where you want to help people succeed. Okay, the second thing is you have to think a little more long-term. To think about the reputation you want to build for yourself and who you really are. This is a business model where, to get a little woo-woo with you, your head and your heart can align. It's a very numbers-driven business model. It's a very cash flow forward business model where, I put my first $1 million in the bank with this business model. Okay, and I've got friends of mine who are sitting on $5 or $6 million liquid because of this business model. Okay, I've got students who have passed their first $1 million liquid because of this business model. And let me also say, I'm going to say students, clients, I'm going to say these words because that's where I've got the deepest knowledge of having helped people is in our paid programs. But this video is designed, this set of trainings that I'm building here is designed to take you from scratch to $10,000 a month, whether you pay me a dime or not. I'm going to say students, I'm going to say clients. You have to hear my heart here. That is not a subtle plug. That is me speaking from the place where I have the deepest experience of serving people, which is when I'm one-on-one with somebody or in a small group setting or, I'm interacting with somebody and helping them take the idea that's in their head and make it a reality, okay? So I'm going to say students and clients. I'm going to say check this student and what they did. And, some people get sick of that. And if that's you, then you should probably click off this video because I've helped hundreds of people. And it's the most fulfilling freaking career on the planet. And I love my job, okay? So first of all, you need to be the sort of person who loves helping people succeed. And if that's you, then this is going to be a great business model for you. Second of all, you need to understand that right now, who you currently are and the concept of yourself and your ability to serve other people is skewed. You might have an imposter syndrome about selling coaching, and many, many people do. And, a lot of people think, who am I to take $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000 check? Who am I to get paid that much? But what I want to tell you right now is that is your ego talking. And so throughout the rest of this training, I don't want you to think about if you are worthy of getting paid that much. I want you to think if somebody else would be willing to spend $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 to get closer to a really important goal or end in their life, whether that's a relationship thing, a physical health thing, a mental health thing, whether that's a financial thing, a wealth thing, a business thing, whatever it is. So it's not about you. And this is one of those business models where the more other oriented you are, the further you're going to go. And there's a subset of people that really do love helping other people succeed. Whatever that looks like. If you want to be a sales coach or you want to be a personal development coach, We've got one guy in our program who's a men's confidence coach. We've got one lady who helps people heal from their past traumas. She makes $15,000, $10,000 to $15,000 a month as a single mother with 2 kids. She helps other women heal from inner trauma and turmoil. Okay, so whatever that thing is, whatever that calling on your life is, I want you to understand that you have it. Even if you haven't realized it, you do have it. And so we've made a business out of people discover it, monetize it, and build it. So let me start there. It's not for everybody. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. This is a legitimate model. This is a career. If somebody decides to get our help or somebody like me's help, whether it's me or somebody, what you're really deciding is that you want to build a career, not just a business. And the difference between a business and a career, a business is a pop-up thing that comes and goes. A career is a reputation. You think about guys like Tony Robbins, these people who have been consultants or coaches for 20, 30 years. They've sold information, but every time they come out with a product or a program or a service or something to serve that space, their skills just get refined and refined and refined into this, like, it's almost ridiculously impossible to compete with a guy like him because he's been doing it for so long. You know what I mean? And he can drop these names of these clients he's worked with and everything. And so what I want to do today is start from absolute scratch. Okay, this is a long video. You can probably see it's going to be multiple parts to this series. And I just want to give away the farm, every single piece of the farm that I've discovered. Because, my business, I don't need to make these videos. We're going to do $400,000 to $500,000 a month just from our direct response marketing efforts. Even if I don't make YouTube content, even if I don't share my knowledge and help people, my goal with this series is to give people who can't afford our program, can't afford other programs like our program, or people who just don't believe in paying for coaching, want to do it yourself. Okay, cool enough. I'm going to show you what it takes because I believe in the mission of taking people who have that God-given gift, knowledge subject, or an understanding about the world that might be a little bit diluted from the typical understanding that you can then synthesize into something that you can sell. That's the person that I want to help. So I was a loud clap. That's the person I want to help. And the sort of people who have always felt a calling on their heart to help people succeed to some capacity. Maybe you're that person in your friend group that people come to for advice. You're really good at simplifying complex subjects into action items and taking things and teaching. And I've always been a teacher. I was homeschooled. I always taught my siblings. Like if I learned a thing in math or like a fraction thing, I would sit down with my sibling and like, hey, brother, this is how you do the fraction thing that I just learned from mom yesterday. You know what I mean? I've always been that person. And if you're that sort of a person, you love helping people, you love seeing them grow, this is the perfect business to get into, okay? So let's start high level. This video I'm going to dedicate to discovering your niche and discovering what that thing that you could do for other people even is, okay? And what makes me qualified to help you figure this out, and why, what does somebody like me even bring to the table for somebody like yourself? Well, I've got an eagle-eye view of tens of millions of dollars of consulting sales for my students and my company combined across literally hundreds of different industries and niches, okay? And so there is this overlap between market need and end goals that people desire and your perspective or your inherited talents or ideas that could help those people reach those ends. So coaching or consulting at its purest form is moving somebody from where they are now, which might be a dissatisfied state of living in any of the 3 major arenas, health, wealth, and relationships, to a more satisfied state of living. So that's really what consulting is. Okay, it's moving somebody from dissatisfied to satisfied in one of those 3 arenas, health, wealth, relationships. And so what we're doing with consulting is we're taking that gap, that knowledge gap, that action gap. Most people buy consulting for one of 3 reasons. And this is, by the way, after observing tens of thousands of sales calls for my students, my own company, my friends' companies. If I were to just take the amount of sales calls we've generated for our students in our community, it's got to be at least 80 to 100,000 sales calls. And over that period of doing this for 3.5, 4 years, we've found and boiled down 3 key reasons why people buy consulting or coaching. And this helps you discover your niche. It's very important that you understand why people buy consulting or coaching. Helps you understand your niche, helps you understand what it is that you could sell. Just 3 reasons. The first reason is that people want a proven pathway to an end. So they're basically like, I could probably do it myself. I could probably figure it out myself, but I just want to save time, and I want to know that my energy and efforts are going in the right direction. A lot of our sales come from psychology like this. A lot of our student sales come from psychology like this, especially if you're like a business coach or a financial coach. It seems to be a very common thing. Okay, we've got a credit repair coach. This is it for them. It's just like, yeah, like I just need to be told exactly what to do. Like if you just tell me exactly what to do, I'm just going to do it because I'm really motivated to make this happen for me. But I need somebody to take all the complexities and all the don't know what I don't knows and turn them into a step-by-step sequence of actions. That's a very common archetype for somebody who's in the market to buy consulting or coaching, or you can make them in the market to buy consulting or coaching by adding value to their lives, showing them what you could do for them, and then maybe they'll come to you later, okay? So that's the first reason is proven pathway. The second one is need proximity to community or people who have done it, or yourself if you've done it, okay? So proximity. So the first is proven. The second is proximity, okay? So they want proximity to a community or proximity to a group of people or yourself that has achieved a certain thing, okay? They just want to be closer to that because they know that if they're just in the right rooms, that they can get that thing, okay? I think people and humans fundamentally know that who they're around really, really matters. This is why even if you do one-to-one consulting or you work one-to-one with your students, what we have people do is, yes, you do one-to-one, but you have a community that's building of your one-to-one. So you do the one-to-one consulting, but you got a group chat, or we use a software called Circle where people can kind of gather together. You can use a Facebook group and just get people in a group and make sure that people have that community of other people that are on that same journey to move from that unsatisfied state to that satisfied state together, following your proven pathway, and they can kind of hold each other accountable and everything, okay? So proven pathway, community or proximity, okay? And the final one, and this is the rarest type, is just kind of the ego drop. It's the I don't know what I don't know, and I'm sick and tired of not seeing the results, and all I know is that I just need help. And this is a rare one because most people have an ego. Most people, it's hard for them to admit that there's something that they don't know. And most people live their lives thinking that, why is it that I don't have these things? I'm good enough to have these things. Why can't I have them already? And this is just the typical sort of conscious state of mankind. It's a lack of willingness to admit your own deficits, intellectually, emotionally, mentally, physically, whatever it is. Okay, and it's a very rare one to just have somebody basically say, look, all I know is that I just am so, I don't know what I'm doing, right? And so these are the three archetypes. And it's important that we start here when we search for niches and industries and marketplaces to serve, because if we understand these three archetypes, which again have been distilled from tens of thousands of consultation calls, sales calls, okay, over 5,000 in my own, actually 6,000 in my own companies, but many, many more for other people. Those are the three major archetypes. And there's some others, there's some lingering others, like, hey, my buddy referred me and I figured, hey, I've got some spare money right now, why not? Like you're going to get those, edges of the bell curve people where they're not the typical meat of the bell curve, but they're kind of on the edges. There's also going to be the ridiculously reluctant buyer that you could help them, and if they just got out of their own freaking way, you could help them, but they just never will for whatever reason. There's going to be other archetypes, but those are the three most common. And so when we're looking at markets and industries to serve, there's really two philosophies when it comes to looking at industries. The first philosophy is the skills forward philosophy. So this is looking at what you currently possess. So, what is it that you know that you could bring to the world? Do you have an outcome in your life that you've generated, small as it may be, that might be one step ahead of somebody that might be stuck on that step? And this is a critical thing to think about because, if you're going to do skills forward, if you're going to do me forward, you're going to have to communicate your story very, very well. And I'm going to come back to knowledge forward and skills forward in a moment. The other process that we have people do, if they don't feel like there's anything that they really inherently could bring to the table, they don't really feel like they're like really confident, like, yes, I know I can help people lose weight, or I know I can help people build a successful brick and mortar business or something like that, right? Then you can take the market backwards approach. So of the people that I've served, it's split down the middle. Half do the skills or me forward approach of like, I've done this thing in my life and I want to help other people do it. The other half, they don't even know what they're going to sell. So the market backwards approach is basically when you go into the marketplace, and when I say a marketplace, I just mean a sociographic, not a demographic. A demographic is like a group of people with like a skin color or like an age. That's not really what we're looking for. We're looking for a sociographic. And a sociographic is a group of individuals, and this is how I've seen it defined, and I agree with this definition. It's a group of individuals with a common goal or common problem, essentially. And they could be grouped into not a geographic location or a life experience like age, gender, religion, or anything like that. Maybe religion. But it's more a group of people with a common problem. And if they have these demographic overlaps and, there's an overlap between the demographic, that's fine. But for example, it's like business owners beneath $100,000 a year that are having a hard time building their teams. That could be something. Or it's, car collectors that want to start renting out their collection that don't know where to start, right? Or it could be, single parents who are having a ridiculously difficult time balancing it all. Or, it's a group of people that are in a current life experience that might be less than satisfactory, that if you put your message in front of them and show them that there's a better way of doing things, it would kind of light them up and be like, oh man, let me see if this is worth trying, okay? So there's the skills forwards and market backwards. What I'm going to do is I'm going to link in the description below a little document where you can actually go through a process of market research. If you're going to do the market backwards approach, we've got a market research document that you can use, and it's going to take you about 7 to 14 days to actually do this work. But if you do it, and you really do every single step, then you're going to get a lot of value out of it. It's going to really show you how to identify and really kind of pull back the layers of bad ideas and get to a really, really good market opportunity based on what other people are doing that is or isn't working, based on asking key questions to the marketplace or sociographic that you're going to target, okay, and identifying what their perceived gaps are, what they've tried that hasn't worked yet, and as well identifying what that path could be by consulting with people who have achieved that more desirable outcome, that more satisfactory state, okay? And so it's going to help you kind of identify that. And what's really neat is, this is why I don't think that you need to be an expert, because you can actually curate solutions instead of creating solutions. If I'm honest with you, my entire consulting and coaching career is just I've read a lot of books and I've consulted with a lot of people, and as you go, you just kind of take these little lessons, and almost like a comedian testing their humor in front of audiences over and over again. As you move along your coaching or consulting career, you start to kind of have like a script. This is why I can like off riff and like just talk about these things for 2 hours, because I've done it so much on repeat over and over again. I've read books, talked to people, and I've really put it all together in my head. And kind of like a comedian, how comedians go to the smaller bars to test their stuff, and if it gets a good response, then they'll go to a bigger location. Still a good response, they'll go to a bigger location. And over about 3 years of testing material, they'll have a Netflix special. This is the same thing with coaching and consulting. And a lot of people, they aim right for the Netflix special, but what they don't realize is they can make $10,000 or $20,000 a month serving the coaching industry equivalent of the little micro bars. Does that make sense? And a lot of people, they go straight for the Netflix special. They look at people with a Netflix special. They look at people with, $1 million a month, like freaking empire. And they think, there's no way I could compete in that. But what you don't realize, just because we have comedians, like my wife and I love, what's his name? John Mulaney. Like, just because there's like John Mulaney out there or like Louis C.K.'s out there, doesn't mean that there aren't up and coming comedians that are practicing their stuff in bars right now that'll be here 3 years from now. You know what I mean? And it's that dedication to that reaction and seeing what really makes these people click. And so the best way to get into a market, if it's market backwards, especially if it's market backwards, I'm going to talk more about skills forwards here in a second, but if it's market backwards, it's to start joining communities after you've done this research, this 7 to 14 day research period, which I linked to the description and down below. So join communities like Facebook groups, Reddit groups, LinkedIn groups, whatever. You can even go to some in-person meetups and get to know these people. And what you just want to do is ask a series of questions. And these questions are listed in the research doc, but I'll give you the high level. Basically, it's what have you tried that hasn't worked yet? Okay, what are your biggest challenges? Okay, what are some simple things that have worked a little bit, right? So you get kind of a little bit of that truth, what has worked, but maybe you didn't see all the way through. And you just start to ask very Socratic questions, and what you'll find is most people tend to be ignoring an elephant in the room. And if you just study a group of people for long enough, a lot of the time it's a worldview issue that prevents them from having that thing, or it's a skill issue, or it's a character trait issue, or it's a routine or lack of clarity issue. They don't really know what that process is. And a lot of the time as you ask the right questions, the solutions start to make themselves clear, okay, for that group of people that you might want to serve. And so this could be local business owners who haven't learned how to advertise online yet. Obviously, that's a big skill gap. It could be, pastors who have a ridiculously hard time getting Sunday show-ups because, majority of people are just cool with hopping online now. So how do you navigate that problem? What are some solutions, right? And I don't want you to see this as a shallow way to serve. A lot of people, when they think about the market backwards approach, are thinking this is very shallow. It's like, it's not real solutions. Well, this is a lie that's been sold to you. I really do believe this. We've been sold that in order to sell advice or sell expertise, that somebody like a college institution or maybe a higher authority needs to come in and knight you and say, you are now ready to go sell advice and go sell coaching or consulting or go help people. And this is such a devious, tiny little lie, but it's devious in its breadth over humanity that for some reason you need to wait until somebody comes into your life and says you can do it to go and actually do it, to go and help that group of people, to go and lead those people. But what you have to understand is psychologically, you have to choose yourself. You have to say, I'm knighting myself and I'm going to go find solutions for this group of people because I can legitimately see both in my head that it'd make a lot of money and in my heart that I could really help these people. Okay? So now for the skills forwards approach, the me forwards approach. What you really want to do is you want to look at your life in a series of sort of what has happened to you, okay? Things that you might have gone through. Now, I don't know a single person that hasn't gone through something hard. The reality is we live in a world where challenges tend to come. We've been through something. You might have been through something, whether it's a financial thing you've been through or it's a relationship thing you've been through or who knows what. There's people who actually make a lot of money with divorce recovery coaching. There's all kinds of angles and niches and things. And what I want you to think about is what is it that I've overcome and what outcomes have I generated? Now, again, if you can't think of anything here, go market backwards. And there's most of our students actually that have gotten to $1 million a year or more do either mainly market backwards or they mix market backwards philosophy with skills forwards philosophy and kind of meet somewhere in the middle. But there's never not an element of market backwards philosophy mixed into the approach of building an offer and finding a group of people to serve. Because really, people don't ultimately care that much about you. They just want a better life. And so even though you might have done something cool or achieved something, they still need to feel like you can help them go from less than desirable situation to desirable situation, right? Like we talked about towards the beginning of this video. So it's important that we, still bring some market backwards in. But, a great example could be a career achievement that you've had. Maybe you landed a 6-figure job in some industry that might be desirable. Maybe you've navigated the complexities of an industry that you're in. Maybe your family owns a business and it might be a relatively successful business. Or maybe you've gone through a hard personal challenge and come out with major lessons. And that challenge can be archetyped as a certain challenge. Say it's a financial challenge, a credit score thing, or a relationship thing. Who knows what it is? And this is where you just need to look at your life again, as I was saying, in a series of sort of chapters. If you look at a story, no story exists without an outcome. So if somebody's gone through something, there's always like if you watch a movie, there's always like they were this, and then this thing happened to them, it sent them on this journey, and then they discovered this thing, and now they're better. And I think the human experience relates to that in a big way. So this is where it's a personal journey, and you can decide, all right, I personally am very passionate about seeing people through this thing that I've experienced or helping them achieve this outcome that I've experienced. If you feel like you're living life, if you feel like you have a cheat code to life, right? Like you figured something out that just has made life so much better for you and you just want to spread that, that's a great place to start. Whether it's a fitness thing, a financial thing, a relationship thing, it doesn't really matter what that thing is, but it's increased your quality of life substantially since before you found it, okay? Now, what I want you to understand is whether you're market backwards or skills forwards, we now need to communicate to this group of people a very, very simple concept so that they can take the complexities of market research that we've done and the complexities of the soul searching we've done and be able to digest it in pill-sized form. People want, again, with consulting, a proven pathway, something that will get them to the end quicker, or proximity, right? And then the final one is the ego drop thing, which doesn't happen much. But now that we've done the research and we've done some of this work to figure out what it is that we could sell, you have to begin to, in your own marketing efforts, which we'll talk about how to market here in a minute, Okay, maybe in the next video I'll talk about exactly how we go about, marketing and selling consulting services, and maybe in the final video I'll talk about delivery. Okay, but you have to think about communicating what it is that you can do for people so eloquently and simply and digestibly that they're like, that's something that I want, and it kind of sparks something for them. So a bad example would be like, I'm a relationship coach. That's too vague. Unless you've been a relationship coach for 6 years and you've got a bunch of people that have testimonials for how you've saved their marriage or something, then it's too vague because you don't have people that line up and tell their story about how your relationship coaching affected them directly. So until you have a lot of students that have succeeded that can kind of take the vague thing you're saying that you do and turn it into something that another human can digest, you don't want to do the whole, I'm a business coach or relationship coach. It's too vague. We need to enter into a market with a piercing message that resonates with them very, very quickly. And how do you achieve this? Well, you speak to where they are now in the pain of it. You speak to where it is that they want to get. You relieve them of the feeling that they've done anything wrong, and you tell them what they should be doing that will get them there quicker. Because you don't want to attack their ego. I've seen a lot of people get started in coaching, and they're like, this group of people is just doing it wrong. They're a bunch of idiots. And it's like, nobody's going to buy that. You don't tell people they're wrong or that they're idiots. You tell people, you're experiencing this bad thing that you don't want anymore. Well, it's because you haven't learned about this thing, this secret, or this strategy, or this mechanism that can take you from here to here. And it's not your fault that you haven't, found this mechanism yet. It's just not talked about that much. And I don't know why it's not talked about that much. And that's why I'm on this mission to give you this mechanism, this thing. You see how that's much different than, oh, hey, group of people, I'm a relationship coach. You should come buy my relationship coaching. And it's not this like ego forward approach. It's more of like you're putting something out there that people are like, oh, I want to learn more about that mechanism or that thing. And so like at its absolute core, for me, what I'm selling is a fulfilling career, helping people and doing great work for them. And it's ridiculously profitable once you can synthesize some of the stuff we're talking about in this video. And long term, it's a career that really compounds. The feedback loop of this career is ridiculous. You make a sale, over a couple months, you get a great result, which leads to more sales, which leads to more results, which leads to more sales. And it's really just to the degree that you can continue to make noise and market, and to the degree that you can deliver in almost we talk about in our delivery video, almost a conveyor belt delivery system for all of your clients, then you're gonna succeed like wildfire. This is typically the hardest part, is figuring out what it is that you're gonna sell. But back on topic, you don't want to give people an attack. You don't want to come in attacking. You want to come in saying, this is why it hasn't worked for you. And you want to paint it like, see all these people who have been, all these people who have told you this, they're all wrong, and here's why. This is actually a better way of doing things for these reasons. And I want to show you how to use this mechanism or this strategy to reach this end goal much faster than the other options you might have heard already, or that you haven't even heard of yet, and you don't even, you might not have even heard of this before, but this is how you reach this. So I'll give you some good examples of messages that give you a good entryway into the market, okay? A great example would be a group post, like a Facebook group post that you put into a community that you've identified has your ideal customers in it, okay? And this is a me forwards approach. So if you've had a result, there's a me forwards thing, okay? So I'm going to pretend that your result is that you lost some weight, all right? What you're going to do is you're going to go into this group and say, hey, everyone, I just want to introduce myself. I went from less than desirable state to more desirable state, and I just want to share with you the power of insert the strategy that you used, and you can really name the strategy whatever you want to name it. One of the students that we're serving right now in our program, his name's Alan, and he has a car detailing business that has succeeded pretty well. And you think that that's enough to sign clients? It's not. If he was to help other car detailing business owners grow their business, having a successful car detailing business isn't always enough. It's actually nowhere near enough. You need to tell them how it is that your, business succeeded, and you need to show people how the way that you did it could work for them too. So instead of saying, hey, I do $10,000 to $15,000 a month with my car detailing business. If you want help growing it, let me know. It's more like, hey, everybody, my name is, insert name of student. I went from less than $2,000 a month to $15,000 a month with my car detailing business in 1.5 years using organic marketing hacking, right? So you put this name on the strategy so that people are like, oh, I want to learn more about that, Okay. So I went from less than desirable state, so maybe a couple pounds overweight, to, slimming up and building some muscle, feeling better about my body, something like this, using insert mechanism, insert strategy, okay? Using what I call insert thing. And this way, people aren't actually interested in you and your story. Your story might intrigue them, but the reality is people see people lose weight all the time. They don't think that it could work for them with whatever strategy what is that they used, right? There's going to be all kinds of excuses. It's going to be like, oh, I have a thyroid thing, or I have it's genetics, or who knows, whatever it is, right? And I'm not making a commentary on whether people can or can't lose weight. That's not what I'm about. I have no jaded opinion there. But you get what I'm saying. So you need to enter into a market saying, here's how I went from here to here using X, using Y. And so what you need to understand is that you're giving people kind of a carrot on a stick, something that they can be like, oh, I kind of want to learn how that thing works. And then we'll talk more about marketing in the next sort of module or piece of training, whatever you want to call it. But when you're marketing, you're really pushing how your mechanism or your way of doing things is better than the alternatives, and why the only reason that people haven't achieved what it is that they want to achieve yet is because they haven't discovered your mechanism or your way of doing things. So if your skills forwards, it's your story and how your mechanism that you named got you there. If it's market backwards, it's, hey, I've observed that group of people, everybody in this group or you all are struggling with this, insert less than desirable situation, and I've observed that only X% of you have reached Y, or only some of you reached Y, the desirable situation. And the difference between the two every time is blank. It's insert the thing that you want to call it. And so today I want to talk about how this thing could help you, and just based on observation, what I'm noticing needs to change in order for the majority of you who aren't at desirable situation to reach desired situation. Okay, now this will kind of categorize itself and start to build itself as you conduct market research. And what I want you to understand is that we're not just putting bait out there just to make sales and just to bait people into selling them. What you need to understand is that we're trying to give people something that they can understand, because the brain, if it has to spend calories to understand your message, it's not going to understand your message. It needs to be short, simple, sweet, to the point, and it needs to show why your way of doing things is better and how it's going to get them to that end quicker. And if you can do that, then what's going to happen is once we'll talk about marketing and sales and maybe the next piece of training. Once you get to that stage, it's basically like your sales calls or your consultation calls are just seeing if the strategy could work for them. You're not even selling them on you. You're just selling them on the thing. And then if you identify that it could work for them and that they could go through your process and they could get results, then you'll make sales. And what we're trying to do is give, again, people something that they want, something that clicks with them, that they can understand inherently almost without burning many calories, so that once they're inside of our program, and this is a big secret, we can give them what they need. So we're trying to give people what they want, which might be a quick way to lose weight quickly, right? Or like a simple strategy, simple diet trick, da-da-da. But then we give it to them so we can win their trust, and then we give them what they need. So a great example of this is like in my business, we've really played with like coaching being like a quick, internet money business model. And it really is. I mean, you can get started with this and succeed pretty easily if you know the stuff that I'm talking about today. I confidently feel like I can move into any marketplace and sell consulting to any group of people because I've seen so many businesses start and grow. And frankly, I've had so many opportunities to start other consulting businesses in completely unrelated niches. I actually had a group of people pay me for premarital counseling, and that's like, okay, I could do that, I guess. It's not really what I want to do, so I turned it down. But I had 3 people pay me, $5,000. One of them paid me 5, the other paid me 2, they paid me 3. So a good amount of money just from something that I don't even specialize in. And that's because I understand marketing and sales and all this stuff that I'm talking about in this video today. So you give people what they want so you can deliver them what they need. And what I mean by this is give them a mechanism, a small thing that they're like, oh, I want to try that and see if that works for me. And give that to them, over-deliver on that thing. And then as you build a relationship with them, you start to have the deeper conversations that might be more necessary for them. So if we're to talk about, like, let's say a business offer, let's say you're doing business consulting for, let's say, brick and mortar businesses that are stuck at $100,000 a year, right? And let's say that you've identified that the absolute core issue that these people tend to face is just kind of a mindset issue. They have been stuck at $100,000 a year for 6 years. There's so many ways they could grow their business, but they're just not motivated to. They don't really care to in their heart of hearts. And they don't realize that doing $300,000 to $400,000 a year could be just as easy, same amount of work, if they just put in 2 months of work to fix something. I don't know what that could be, but I know this is a deep hypothetical, but hopefully you can bear with me. When you come to this group of people, these $100,000 a year brick and mortar business owners, you could say, look, I've noticed that most of you are stuck at this level. A lot of you want to get to this level. And the reason you haven't been able to ascend is because you haven't identified key thing. And that key thing could be as simple as saying it's like Facebook ads or something, or it could be like, I don't know, some way of upselling your customers. Who knows what that could be? So you get them in, you teach them how to upsell, you teach them how to run ads, but then very quickly you give them what they need, which might have been, that they just don't know how to develop long-term relationships with their customers. People come in and they leave. And so it goes from being this program where you're just teaching them a fundamental basic skill and the mechanism that you marketed to giving them that mechanism, the thing that they could understand enough that they would buy, and then giving them what they really need. And this is the beautiful thing about consulting and coaching is that you can sell people on kind of surface level, basic strategies and win them over by over delivering on those strategies so that you can give them what they need. So you don't want to overcomplicate your market message because you personally understand how complex the problems you're trying to solve are. You just need to make it very, very simple. And then when people buy your thing, then you can go deep with them. And this has been something that I've had to work through because I understand all of the layers that somebody needs to go through. I feel like if I had 50 hours with somebody, doesn't matter their background, their experience, their knowledge, or anything, I could turn them into a 7-figure business owner. Lickety split. It's just so clear the steps that they personally need to go through, how to identify a marketplace, teaching them the basics of marketing and sales and how to use the internet to attract clients and all these things that just now come so naturally to me, and they will come naturally to you too. And I could take that person and get them there. Okay. So that is the high level of niche and offer definition. So to recap, there's 3 reasons why people buy consulting or coaching, which you can go back and hear those reasons again if you so desire, and more depth on those. There's market backwards and skills forwards. So market backwards is what do people need? What are their problems? What have they tried? What hasn't worked? And identifying solutions, okay, and delivering them in pill format. In the next couple pieces of training, we're going to talk about how to deliver consulting, even to industries that you've never delivered consulting to. So this is really interesting. People think, again, they need to be knighted in order to sell consulting. It's just not true, okay? It's completely false. You can move into new marketplaces so long as you understand market research, human psychology, social dynamics, and how to actually put together something that they can get results with, okay? Am I saying that I could help single mothers? No, I don't relate to that a bit. But there's definitely, a reach to that statement that you can help anybody. But most people are significantly more capable of helping other human beings than they currently credit themselves for. And it's that gap between what it is that they think they can currently help people with and what they actually can that tends to hold most people back, right? So market backwards, skills forwards, moving into a marketplace with a simple market message, okay, and taking the time to actually do some market research and identify what it is that people are actually needing and wanting that's holding them back from the goals that they have, okay? To recap as well, people want to move from a less than desirable situation to a more satisfactory situation in 3 key arenas, which is health, wealth, and relationships. And if you can identify the sociographic of people who have a desire, who have an unmet goal or need, and don't have the clarity or the proven pathway, the community, or recognize that they don't know what they don't know and want to bridge one of those few gaps, then you can move them to that desired state. And we're going to talk about how to deliver on consulting in the next piece of training. So this is the first of a few videos, obviously, and I just want to break it all down for you. Okay, so hopefully this has been valuable, and if it has been valuable, then please leave a positive comment below, and I'll keep making more videos like it. So this is part 1 of, I think, probably 3 or 4, and I'm just going to go way deep on this stuff. Okay, so hopefully you're enjoying this, and I'll see you in the next training.